Hello everybody, I'm Bridger with Booth Music. I'm our band specialist, and today we'll be talking a little bit about band instruments and why they are in different keys. I first encountered this when I was learning clarinet, and my friend was playing a song from Kirby on the piano, and I was like, hey, I want to play that with you. So I started reading his music, and the notes weren't sounding the same, and we were like, what's going on here? I'm playing a C, you're playing a C, but it doesn't sound the same. And I later learned that that's because the clarinet is a B-flat instrument while the piano is a C instrument. So why is this? Why do we have to have this confusion? Why can't I just play my C and have it sound like the piano C? Well, I've asked a lot of people over the years, and I've also dove into the internet and done a lot of research, and I haven't really been able to find a definitive answer, but there's a lot of information out there of some history and also some benefits and reasons why band instruments were made this way. The first thing that I think will help us understand why band instruments are in different keys is to understand what clefs are and how music is written out. If you think about, or if you look at a piano and how many notes there are, there's a lot of notes. There's a lot of keys on the piano that represent a different pitch. And if you try to represent each one of those with either a line or a space, you end up with a lot of lines, and you can't really tell where a certain note is. Do I know if this is an F or a G or an A? Who knows? There's too many lines to really tell. So the way to fix this problem is to create a little symbol and just have a couple lines, like 5 lines, represent just a small grouping of notes. That way I can easily look at this and say, oh yeah, the bottom line is an E, the line up from that is a G, etc. This is a great solution to this problem, but it also creates some other kind of unique things because there's other instruments that are in different ranges of notes. The piano has a wide range of notes. The clarinet is going to have a different range than like a string bass or a tenor saxophone. And so one way that you could look at this is by creating a bunch of different clefs for the right range for each instrument, but then students have to learn all these different clefs and all these different symbols. So another solution is to have some of the main clefs, like the treble clef or the bass clef, and just rename each of the notes and each of the pitches. So if we think about a clarinet, when I play my C, it actually sounds like a B flat, but it makes it easy for me to learn how to read the music because it's just in treble clef. I can look at the note C, I can play the fingering C. It's going to sound a little bit different, but at least I can read the music easily and have a familiar clef. Another thing that this does is it allows certain groups and families of instruments to be able to have the same fingering mechanism and the same notes for each of those fingerings. So a clarinetist can move over and play the saxophone really well. An alto saxophone player can play the tenor sax really well because they finger C and it's the same on both saxophones. Another one of the benefits is it does make young students, it makes it easier for them to be able to learn their instrument and learn how to read music with their instrument. Learning some of the most common clefs, if they've already taken piano, they'll be able to read their music really easily. Even if they haven't learned an instrument before, they'll be able to ask friends in the class. A clarinetist can ask a flute player or a trumpet player, hey, what is this note again? And they can say, oh, that's a C. And even though it'll sound different on their instrument, they can still learn how to read the music a lot easier. Another benefit is that the way the instruments are made can be more optimized for the tone of the instrument without having to try to be constrained with a certain range that fits well with how music is notated or how it's written or whatever. So even with all the benefits of having band instruments be in different keys, it does create a new learning curve because for me, if I want to play my clarinet with a piano, I either have to find music that's already been written for both clarinet or piano, or I have to learn how to transpose. And transposing is pretty much just taking a piece of music and shifting it into a different key. So it does create a new learning curve of learning how to transpose, but once you get the hang of it and once you learn how to do it, it's not too bad. If you ever want to try transposing yourself, take the name of the instrument. So for example, B flat clarinet, and if I play a C on my clarinet, it's actually going to sound a B flat. Or an F horn, if they play a C on the horn, it's going to sound like an F. And that's how you can start to learn how to transpose, is learning the distance between the C that they're playing and the note that it's actually sounding. You can also go online to learn further tips of how to transpose if you really want to learn how to transpose, but that is the main learning curve and con of having each of the instruments in different keys. So just to recap, yes, band instruments are in different keys. Clarinet is in B flat, alto is in E flat, etc. And that does create a learning curve of having musicians need to transpose music, but there's actually a lot of benefits. Makes it so that we can have each instrument written in the most common clefs, like treble and bass clef. That also makes it easier for players to switch between instruments of their own family, because the fingerings are going to still be the same and line up with the same note names. So an alto saxophone player can move over to tenor sax and do really well. And it also allows us to make instruments most optimal for their tone rather than other naming or teaching conventions. And there you have it. That's the basics of why band instruments are in different keys and why perhaps you've experienced playing a note next to another person playing the same note but having it sound different. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch out for more videos, hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned. Is that okay?
Great. I think that's great.
Okay.
You nailed it.